Detective Martin Holloway looked at the abandoned house with suspicion, the shadows dancing in the moonlight heightening the atmosphere of desolation. The door creaked ominously as he pushed it open, revealing a dark and dusty hallway. Martin turned on his flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness and revealing cobwebs hanging from the ceiling. As he explored the rooms, the detective felt an indescribable presence, as if echoes of the past were whispering in his ears. Upstairs, Martin came across a slightly open door, revealing a room with walls covered in faded photographs and empty eyes staring at him from within the frames. At the center, an old doll seemed to watch him with its macabre expression. As the detective approached to examine the photos, a subtle murmur echoed through the halls, as if ancient voices were lamenting. A sudden chill enveloped Martin as he entered the next room, where he found an old mirror covered in dust. His reflection appeared distorted, its features distant from reality. Suddenly, the detective saw a shadow move behind him in the reflection, but when he turned around, there was nothing there. The sensation of being watched intensified, becoming almost palpable. While exploring the dark basement, Martin stumbled upon old newspaper pages recounting stories of tragic events that had occurred in the house decades ago. Rumors of cults and disappearances fueled this sinister atmosphere. Suddenly, a cold whisper echoed, repeating a name long forgotten. The lights began to flicker, and shadows danced on the walls, as if trying to communicate something. The detective followed a narrow staircase leading to a dusty attic. There, he found an old locked box covered in ancient inscriptions. Upon opening it, a series of blood-stained letters and a dusty diary that narrated terrifying events were revealed. As Martin read, he felt a spectral presence around him, as if entities from the past were reliving their stories before him. A sudden wind slammed the attic door shut, plunging Martin into complete darkness. His flashlight failed, leaving him blind in the presence of the unknown. Chilling laughter filled the space around him, seeming to come from all directions. The voice of a woman whispered unintelligible words in his ear, while invisible hands seemed to grab at his clothing. Desperate, Martin tried to find his way out, but the corridors seemed to shift, confusing his sense of direction. Shadows took on sinister forms, dancing around him as voices murmured secrets from the past. The detective found himself trapped in a surreal nightmare, unable to distinguish between the real and the supernatural. Finally, after what felt like endless hours of torment, Martin found the front door. As he stepped outside, he felt a sigh of relief, as if he had escaped invisible claws. The detective looked back one last time, seeing the empty windows of the abandoned house. The feeling that something was still watching him lingered, a persistent reminder that the terror extended beyond the walls of that dark dwelling. Martin walked down the dark street, trying to shake off the feeling that something was following him. As he turned to look back at the house, he saw a faint light shining in one of the upstairs windows. His heart raced as he realized that there hadn't been electricity in that house for decades. A shadow, darker than the night around him, moved behind the tattered curtain. Determined to uncover the mystery, Martin returned to the house, this time with a mix of determination and apprehension. The door creaked again as he opened it, but this time there was no sense of welcome. The detective climbed the stairs slowly, the beam of his flashlight revealing old bloodstains on the wooden floorboards. When he reached the attic, The moonlight filtered through the cracks in the dusty windows, illuminating a circle on the floor. In the center of this circle, Martin saw a shadowy figure, a ghostly silhouette that seemed to writhe and move. A voice whispered again, this time more clearly, revealing secrets buried under decades of mystery. The shadowy figure began to materialize, revealing the form of a woman dressed in old, blood-stained clothes. Her eyes glowed with a supernatural intensity, and she extended her hand toward Martin. The detective felt an invisible force holding him in place, as the woman whispered a story of betrayal and suffering that had transcended the veil between life and death. Martin, driven by a mixture of compassion and curiosity, asked the woman what bound her to the house. Her words echoed like a melancholic lament, revealing a tragedy that had left eternal scars on her soul. She begged Martin to uncover the truth and free her soul from the torment that kept her trapped in the abandoned house. Determined to help, Martin delved into the buried history, using the clues found in that dusty attic to unravel the secrets haunting the woman. As he uncovered the events of the past, the house trembled, as if its very structure was releasing the long-imprisoned energies. The moment Martin uncovered the final mystery, the woman disappeared, leaving behind a sense of peace long absent. The house, once shrouded in darkness, began to wither as if relieved of a burden. Martin left the place, now silent and devoid of the sinister presence that had haunted him. In the distance, as he watched the abandoned house fade from the horizon, Martin Holloway knew he had done something beyond his understanding, unearthing buried truths and freeing trapped souls. The story of the abandoned house, now unveiled, became a local legend, and the detective's bravery would echo in the whispers of those who dared to explore the unknown. The following days were marked by a sense of relief for Martin Holloway, the detective who had uncovered the mysteries of the abandoned house. However, his mind remained haunted by the visions and whispers of the ghostly woman. Night after night, restless dreams tormented his sleep, recreating the tragic events that had occurred decades ago. The local community, aware of the now-revealed story, began to approach Martin seeking answers to their own personal mysteries. Old legends resurfaced, and the detective realized that he had awakened something dormant for generations. He found himself entangled in a web of intertwined secrets as the shadows of the past seemed to reach out to the present. One night, Martin received a sealed envelope at his door. Inside, an anonymous letter asked for help in solving a new mystery, somehow connected to the abandoned house. The words described a remote location, a mansion isolated atop a hill, where rumors of inexplicable events circulated. Intrigued, Martin set off on a new journey, driven by curiosity and the feeling that his mission was not yet complete. Upon arriving at the mansion, he sensed a heavy atmosphere in the air, as if the very place was imbued with an unknown energy. The mansion's door creaked as he opened it, revealing dark corridors and rooms filled with dusty antiques. As Martin explored the mansion, he discovered ancient records that spoke of mysterious rituals and supernatural events. The house's history was more complex than he could have imagined, involving dark pacts and hidden entities. As night fell, shadows danced on the walls, and the detective could swear he heard distant laughter echoing through the empty halls. In the basement, Martin found a locked door exuding a sinister aura. When he opened it, he found a ritual room adorned with arcane symbols and flickering candles. In the center, a hooded figure began to materialize slowly, raising its head to reveal eyes glowing with supernatural intensity. The entity communicated telepathically, sharing buried memories of a tragedy that had taken place in the mansion centuries ago. Now aware that he was involved in events beyond his understanding, Martin felt compelled to help the entity find redemption. As he delved deeper into the mansion's mysteries, he uncovered a web of connections between the past and the present, between the living and the dead. With each revelation, the mansion's shadows came to life, manifesting as spectral presences that had witnessed centuries of unexplained events. Martin found himself confronted by tormented spirits, each seeking resolution for their lost souls. He became an intermediary between worlds, a detective who not only solved mysteries, but also guided souls to peace. As Martin faced supernatural challenges and uncovered hidden secrets, he realized that his fate was intertwined with the mansion's destiny. The line between the real and the paranormal began to blur, leaving him in a state of constant uncertainty. Yet his determination and courage pushed him to continue, even as supernatural forces tried to steer him off course. On a stormy night, Martin found himself before an ancient altar at the highest point of the mansion. A dark presence emerged from the shadows, and the hooded entity revealed its true form. It was an ancient creature, a guardian of the mansion's hidden secrets. She thanked Martin for his help in freeing the imprisoned souls and offered him a choice: return to his normal life or accept the responsibility of being the guardian of the supernatural mysteries that permeated the place. Martin, knowing that his life would never be the same, accepted the burden of becoming the guardian. The mansion, now purified of its dark energies, seemed to calm. As the detective watched the shadows dissipate, he knew his role as guardian would be eternal, an endless journey between the worlds of the visible and the invisible. The townspeople, unaware of the battle between the detective and the occult forces, noticed that the once feared mansion had become a place of peace. The legend of the detective who unraveled the mysteries of the abandoned house and the isolated mansion atop the hill would echo for generations, inspiring courage in those who dared to challenge the unknown. And so, Martin Holloway continued his journey between the secrets of the past and the uncertainties of the future, guiding lost souls to the light and keeping alive the flame of those who dared to explore the unexplained. The abandoned house and the isolated mansion became monuments to the courage of a detective whose fate was intertwined with the supernatural.